Welcome to the Practical World Podcast, your gateway to work insights and captivating stories from Thailand and beyond. This is the real world. This is the Practical World Podcast.
So you're here because you want to cut through the noise and really understand something important, right? Without getting totally bogged down.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this deep dive is designed for, it's kind of a shortcut to grasping a powerful and maybe often misunderstood approach to leadership.
Silent leadership.
Exactly. Silent leadership.
Yeah. And forget that, traditional picture of the really loud, commanding boss.
Right.
We're looking at a completely different kind of influence, one that's built more on action, careful listening, and just a focused presence.
It sounds almost paradoxical, doesn't it?
It does, leading by being less, let's say, overtly dominant, but it can get, honestly, remarkable results.
And that's pretty much what we've been exploring in the power of silent leadership.
Right.
So our goal today is really to boil down the core of this philosophy, show you how these, I suppose, subtle techniques, but potent ones,
Very potent,
can build trust, inspire loyalty, and foster real accountability in your team.
and you might find some aha moments here. It can challenge how you think about what being a leader actually means.
Okay, let's get into it then. The foundational principles.
Well, at its heart, silent leadership, it really emphasizes embodying the behaviors you actually want to see.
So showing, not just telling.
Exactly. The power of showing up versus just, telling people what they should be doing.
Right. I mean, leading by example, that idea isn't exactly new, is it?
No, not at all. But silent leadership, I think, takes it a step further. It's about the consistent, almost unspoken demonstration of those key values.
Okay, like, give me an example.
Well, think about collaboration. If you want a more collaborative team, your own consistent demonstration of collaborating, jumping in, sharing info, supporting others, that's going to be way more impactful than just saying, hey, let's collaborate more.
Yeah, that makes sense. Or punctuality, like you mentioned before we started. If you want people on time.
You have to be on time every time. It sets the standard without a word.
And what's really interesting there is the credibility it builds, isn't it?
Totally. When a leader consistently models these things, it earns respect. It sets a tangible standard. And team members, they naturally tend to follow. It's not just compliance anymore.
It's genuine adoption.
Exactly. It becomes part of the culture.
That authentic influence.
Yeah.
Okay, so leading by example is key. What's another pillar? You mentioned listening.
Absolutely. And this is huge. We're not just talking about sort of passively hearing words,
Right, not just waiting for your turn to talk.
Precisely. This is about deep listening. Giving your complete attention to the speaker, really focusing on their message, asking thoughtful questions to genuinely understand where they're coming from.
And avoiding interruptions. That's hard sometimes.
It is. But interrupting or even just formulating your response while they're still talking, it completely undermines the whole process.
So it's about making that space where people feel genuinely heard and valued.
Yes, and think about the trust that builds. It's a massive catalyst for strengthening team dynamics.
I could see that. When you feel heard, you feel respected.
And you gain access to such valuable information. Your team's real needs, their challenges, maybe even subtle things about morale. Stuff a more talkative leader might completely miss because they're too busy broadcasting.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. Prioritizing understanding over just being understood, at least initially.
Got it.
Now, the third element you mentioned was presence over command.
Yeah.
What does that look like practically?
Yeah, this one's a bit more subtle, maybe. It's about influencing through your focused, engaged presence rather than relying on, loud directives or demanding attention. A silent leader, they create this atmosphere of calm confidence just by how they carry themselves and engage.
They're less about shouting orders and more about the impact of your focused attention, like in the moment.
Precisely. Think about a tense meeting, maybe high stakes. A leader who is just fully present, centered, attentive, making eye contact, actively listening.
Right.
They can actually lower the stress level in the room, sharpen everyone's focus, often without saying much at all. Their presence itself conveys stability, purpose.
Wow. Okay, so those principles, leading by example, deep listening, presence over command, they're clear conceptually. But how does someone actually start doing this? What are the practical steps?
Right, let's get practical. The first step, which we've kind of touched on, is lead by doing. It's that conscious modeling.
Okay.
So maybe identify one specific behavior you really want to see more of in your team. Let's say a greater ownership or maybe more proactive communication.
Right.
Then make a really deliberate effort to embody that behavior yourself consistently.
So if I want my team to be more solution-focused, I need to actively be solution-focused in my own work and how I
Yeah.
talk about problems.
Exactly. That's your starting point. Very
So
tangible.
what's next? What's step 2?
Step 2 is to really practice active listening. This means a conscious shift during conversations. Aim to listen more than you speak. Make your primary goal understanding where your team members are coming from, their perspectives, their needs, their motivations.
And you had an idea for putting this into practice, right? Something listeners can try.
Yeah, a little exercise. In your very next meeting or even a one-on-one chat, make a deliberate effort. Listen more. Ask open-ended questions. The ones that need more than a yes or no.
The what or how questions.
Exactly. And really absorb the full response before you even think about your own thoughts or jump in with solutions.
I bet you'd learn a lot doing that.
You might be surprised. Yeah, it can really shift the dynamic.
Okay, listening actively. Now, what about cultivating that presence? It sounds a bit more internal.
It is, to some extent. Step 3 is be mindfully present. It's about intentionally focusing your attention right here, right now, on the people you're with.
Minimizing distractions. Easier said than done sometimes.
True. But it's about being fully engaged.
Are there any quick tricks, like when things are busy or your mind's racing?
A really simple mindfulness exercise can help. Before you walk into that meeting or start that important conversation, just take a couple of deep breaths.
Okay.
Consciously center yourself. Set an intention. I'm going to be fully present for this. It sounds small, but it can make a huge difference in how you show up.
That's very practical. I like that. Just a breath or two. Okay, so we've got doing, listening, being present. What about empowering the team? That feels crucial.
Absolutely essential. That's step 4. Empower others. Silent leaders get that building autonomy, fostering self-leadership within the team. That's key for long-term success.
Right.
So by entrusting people with real responsibility, real ownership, you encourage initiative. You build accountability from the ground up.
So it's about delegating, but not just dumping tasks. It's delegating ownership and trusting them.
Precisely. Delegate with genuine trust in their abilities. Encourage them to take the lead on projects. Involve them in decisions that affect their work.
That sounds like it frees the leader up too.
It does. It empowers them and it frees you up to focus on the bigger picture, the strategic stuff.
This is all incredibly helpful. Now, you mentioned our sources also highlighted a kind of framework, a way to remember these things. The quiet model.
Yes, the quiet model. It's just a handy way to keep these core elements in mind.
Okay, let's break it down. Q.
Q stands for question with curiosity. So instead of just jumping in with answers or telling people what to do,
Right.
silent leaders ask thoughtful, open-ended questions. This gets people thinking deeper, encourages more participation, more ownership from the team itself.
So asking more what if or how might we type question.
Exactly. Get them involved in finding the solution.
Okay, Q for question. What about you?
U is for understand through listening. This just circles back to how critical that deep listening is. Building trust, building respect.
Really making that effort to understand before responding.
Yes. Resist that urge to interrupt or finish their sentences. Really focus on understanding their point of view, their challenges, their ideas.
Okay. Q for question, U for understand.
I is inspire by example. Again, linking back to leading by doing.
A modeling behavior.
Exactly. Your consistent actions, your behaviors, they speak so much louder than words. So be conscious about modeling the qualities, the work ethic you want to cultivate in your team.
That consistency seems vital, doesn't it? It's not a one-off thing.
Absolutely not. It's day in, day out. Okay, E.
E in quiet.
E is for empower others, which we just talked about, entrusting your team, giving them autonomy.
Letting them lead.
Letting them lead, contribute their skills. Look for those opportunities to delegate meaningful work, provide support, but crucially, without micromanaging.
Right, the trust factor again, which brings us to T.
It does. T stands for trust the process. Silent leadership fundamentally requires trust.
Trust in.
Trust in your team's abilities, trust in the collaborative process itself, and actually trust in your own ability to guide effectively without needing to control every tiny detail. And that means giving space. Space for people to learn, to grow, even if that means they stumble sometimes. That's part of the process.
So putting it all together, quiet, question with curiosity, Understand through listening. Inspire by example. Empower others. And trust the process.
That's it. It really pulls together those core ideas: action, listening, presence.
It's a great framework.
Yeah, and just to be clear, silent leadership isn't about being passive or, checked out.
No, it sounds very intentional.
It's deliberate, it's potent. It helps build stronger, more resilient teams. Teams built on trust, accountability, and genuine influence, not just authority.
So by focusing more on your actions, you're listening, you can be a highly effective leader without always needing to be the center of attention.
That's the core idea. You lead effectively without dominating the conversation or constantly seeking that spotlight.
This has definitely given me a fresh perspective. It's shifting from that outward projection to more inward cultivation and outward demonstration through action. Now, for you listening, the real next step is to take these ideas and just experiment. Try them out. Maybe pick one element from that quiet model to focus on today.
Yeah, just one.
Maybe it's making a conscious effort to ask more curious questions. Or maybe just really listening in your next conversation without planning your reply.
And remember that Peter Drucker quote you mentioned?
Ah, yes. The most important thing in communication is hearing what isn't said.
That really fits here, doesn't it?
It really does.
And maybe as you go through your day today, think about this. Reflect on a time when you felt really influenced by someone. Not because they were loud or demanding, but because of their actions, or maybe how attentively they listened to you. What was it about that silent leadership that actually worked on you, that resonated?
And then the follow-up.
And then how might you consciously bring a bit more of that quality into your own interactions, your own leadership journey, starting now?
Thank you for joining. This is the Practical World Podcast.